Hey everyone, it's John here from Hot Take Hockey to talk about the Montreal Canadiens and 7 potential players that they could target from now until the NHL trade deadline and even into the offseason. So if you are here, I would really appreciate you considering subscribing to the channel, dropping a like, it really does help out this video, and comment your thoughts. So I'm going to list these players and other players that potentially the Canadiens have targeted in the past, or even talk about Canadiens players that could be headed out in exchange for the players I talk about that they could target. So let's go through it. So starting with Trevor Van Riemsdyk. I think for Van Riemsdyk, this is kind of random. He hasn't really been associated with the Montreal Canadiens too much. And I just want to make this clear as I'm going through this video. I've talked about it in other videos before. Some of these players will be associated with rumors or from sources that are reliable. And some of these players I list are kind of speculation on my part. And in terms of what the Montreal Canadiens need and what they could go out and get. So Trevor Van Riemsdyk, right shot defenseman, he can play on the right side. Obviously, you have Shea Weber there, you have Petrie there. So I've talked about in the past, I think they need a left shot defenseman, and they got Ben Sherratt. I think Sherratt has a good role. So maybe Van Riemsdyk's not your biggest need, but depth is always a good thing. And I think for the Carolina Hurricanes, it's either going to be Trevor Van Riemsdyk or Hayden Fleury on the way out. And actually, Hayden Fleury has been connected to the Montreal Canadiens in the past. So maybe it is Hayden Fleury who can play on the left side. But I do like what Kulak has done there. And you have Mete, Sherratt, and Kulak. There has been some rumors that maybe you slide Sherratt down and have a better defenseman with Petrie. But I think Sherratt has worked out. He's even gotten on the score sheet a couple times. So I think for the Montreal Canadiens, maybe Van Riemsdyk, maybe Hayden Fleury. I think the Carolina Hurricanes over the next year, or maybe sooner, will trade one of those two guys. All right, Jesse Puljujärvi. So this is a guy that has been connected recently with the Montreal Canadiens. According to his agent, Puljujärvi is committed to Finland for the year, regardless of the out clause before December 1st. So he could be traded and then decide to join that team if it was hypothetically before December 1st. But he's gotten that confidence back in Finland, and he doesn't want to risk it coming back to Edmonton. If there was a trade to happen before, maybe, but I feel like this is a trade to happen. It could happen throughout the season, but it would be more likely in the offseason when you can get the player for the following season. If you were to acquire him now and trade away assets or trade away a piece that is in your lineup right now, then you're looking at a hole potentially in your lineup. For Jesse Puljujärvi, maybe that's an offseason acquisition for the Montreal Canadiens, and I think they've been tied to Puljujärvi in the past, and it could be one of their B-level prospects that goes the other way. You're not going to see a guy like Ryan Poehling go the other way for Puljujärvi. It's just too much of a risk at this very moment. Maybe Puljujärvi does turn out to be that 20, 25, 30 goal scorer that we've expected him to be in the past. But for right now, he is still that risk. He's playing in Finland. He's getting his confidence back. And I do believe he's not going to play another game with the Edmonton Oilers. And the Montreal Canadiens could be that team. All right, so now for the big fish, Taylor Hall. So we've talked about it. Taylor Hall with the New Jersey Devils. I thought he was going to be there for the long run. I thought you drafted Jack Hughes. This team was on the up and coming, and I really looked at this team and thought Taylor Hall could be the centerpiece and drive this team into the playoffs. It hasn't been the case. Taylor Hall has not liked the situation, and it looks like he will not re-sign with the New Jersey Devils. It's been all but confirmed, and I think at the end of the day, if you're looking at Taylor Hall, he's a top 10 left winger, top 20 winger, no doubt, in my opinion. And, I mean, you could even argue he's a top 5 left winger. He's up there. He is a superstar in this league. He's a superstar winger in this league. He was the MVP. He was the MVP. That point differential from him to Hischier. We know how he can impact a team individually. So I think if you're looking at other teams, yes, maybe the Edmonton Oilers try to take another crack at him. Maybe the Pittsburgh Penguins try to clear some of their cap for a guy like Taylor Hall. But what about the Montreal Canadiens? Marc Bergevin's been known for trying to get that big fish, whether it's through a guy like Matt Duchene or through a guy like Sebastian Aho. Why not Taylor Hall? I think the problem here is a starter would have to be a guy like Ryan Poehling. I think if you're the New Jersey Devils, you're looking at a guy like Cole Caulfield, you're looking at Poehling for sure, you're looking at Nick Suzuki. Honestly, if I'm the Devils, and maybe it's a sign and trade or whatever it is, if they're pretty confident that the Montreal Canadiens will get an extension with Taylor Hall and you're getting Taylor Hall for the rest of his career, or the majority of what is left of his career, then you're looking at, hey, maybe I could want a guy like Max Domi. That's not going to happen. I'm just telling you what the New Jersey Devils would want. So is it Poehling? I don't think the Montreal Canadiens want to give up on Cole Caulfield, but does Caulfield have a higher ceiling or is it Poehling? I think for me, I think Cole Caulfield has the higher ceiling. He is a winger though, he is smaller, he has some of the issues there, but in terms of his IQ, in terms of his playmaking ability, in terms of his scoring ability, I think he has a higher ceiling than Poehling. Poehling is the center, so that's another thing that is a concern for the Montreal Canadiens. Are you confident with your center depth currently moving forward, or do you want to hold on to a guy like Poehling? It's going to have to be someone significant. Could it be, again, if there's no guarantee that Taylor Hall resigns, could it be a guy like Poehling, and then maybe like a B-level prospect or a mid-roster guy, and then a conditional first that maybe turns into a second if Taylor Hall doesn't resign? So I'm just kind of throwing out some options here. I've seen some trade proposals on Twitter where the Montreal Canadiens are giving up half their roster, or I see it the other extreme where it's just a couple B-level prospects and a couple second-round picks for Taylor Hall. That's just not going to happen. So if it's not Poehling, then it's a combination of like Cale Fleury and Caden Primo, or Caden Primo and Alexander Romanov. That's the start of the package you're looking at. We're talking about Taylor Hall. Even if the Montreal Canadiens were not able to re-sign Taylor Hall, you still got Taylor Hall for more than half a year and going into the playoffs if that's the case for the Montreal Canadiens. So at the end of the day, if it's Taylor Hall you're targeting through the season, that's kind of the players that the Devils will be looking at. Or Marc Bergevin could be patient, just kind of see what happens this year and then potentially target him in the offseason. So Taylor Hall is definitely a target for the Montreal Canadiens. Could it happen? Could it be the big fish for the Montreal Canadiens finally? We'll see. Jonas Brodin. So I'm going to be quick with this one because the Minnesota Wild have no reason to trade him, but they're not a contending team. He has 2 years left, just over a $4 million cap hit. It could be a good deal for the Montreal Canadiens. We've talked about another left-handed defenseman. On the left side, having a guy like Mete and then Brodin and Sherratt, I think that might be worthwhile. Yes, does that mean Kulak slides to the right side, or does that mean Kulak goes the other way in the trade, or is it a healthy scratch? Maybe Cale Fleury goes the other way in the trade. I think Jonas Brodin, at a good price, could be a very good option for the Montreal Canadiens, and there definitely is some expansion thought for the Minnesota Wild there going to Seattle, because if they do want to keep Jonas Brodin, or they'll just end up losing him after 2 years anyways, so there's definitely some complications there, and maybe the Minnesota Wild want to get full value now rather than wait and him become a rental. And another New Jersey Devil, Wayne Simmonds. So Wayne Simmonds just signed a 1-year, $5 million deal. Maybe that grit, maybe that physicality, that presence for the Montreal Canadiens. Plus, it would be a cheaper price, so a lot cheaper. So we'll see what happens in that sense. If they strike out on Taylor Hall or can't reach a deal with the New Jersey Devils on acquiring a guy like Taylor Hall, maybe you get another guy on the New Jersey Devils, who are obviously not a playoff team currently. Maybe things do change, but as I see it right now, they are not. And Wayne Simmonds could be an option for the Montreal Canadiens. Again, I think it would be a higher draft pick. I'm not saying a first-round pick necessarily, but like a second or third. Maybe he's not a top 6 forward, but he's definitely close to that. So we'll see the Montreal Canadiens look at him. Tyler Toffoli. So I think if you're looking at Tyler Toffoli, he's going to be targeted by a lot of teams. He's already been a healthy scratch. I think he's going to be one of the first rentals to go. And knowing Marc Bergevin, how active he is, I think he's going to at least ask what the price is looking like to the LA Kings. So Marc Bergevin, could he target a guy like Tyler Toffoli? The Montreal Canadiens do have a lot of forwards already, but in this balanced attack, which you see through the Montreal Canadiens, they don't really have current superstars. If you want to argue Max Domi or Jonathan Drouin or Gallagher are their top players, but they're not superstars. So setting aside, I think the Montreal Canadiens could use a superstar like a Taylor Hall, but at the end of the day, if they just want to improve their balanced attack, I think a guy like Tyler Toffoli could, again, be a cheaper option and could be an option in general for Marc Bergevin and the Montreal Canadiens. And then adding another defenseman to the mix of targets for the Canadiens would be Alex Martinez. Alex Martinez is a guy that we've seen be clutch in the Stanley Cup final, but that's not really his character. That's not how he is as a defenseman necessarily. He's a two-way guy. He's a veteran now, and he could fit somewhere on the second or third pairing for the Montreal Canadiens. So is he above Ben Sherratt? Is he below Ben Sherratt in terms of second or third pair? We'll see. I think in general, Alec Martinez on that struggling LA Kings team or that rebuilding LA Kings team could be an option, so we'll see down the line. But right now, they have room for improvement potentially in their forward group and on their defense. And I don't necessarily think it's a forced situation. I think they are confident with their group they have right now. But overall, if you look at their defense, they could use another depth guy or a guy that slots in their second or third pair if you're confident with Mete partnered with Weber. I think there's obviously better players that you could acquire over a guy like Mete, but Mete is having a very good start to the season, so maybe that's where you stay. And then for your forward group, is it a superstar like Taylor Hall you want to target, or is it more of the help in the second, third line kind of area, which would be a Wayne Simmons or a Tyler Toffoli? I think players in the past, and I just wanted to mention, you could target a guy like Chris Kreider. He's a pending UFA. I don't know if that fits more because I think the Rangers are asking for a lot, and I think you get a cheaper option in a guy like Wayne Simmons. And then for a guy like Cam Fowler, that contract's huge. I don't know if that would work. I think the Montreal Canadiens were looking at him in the past. I thought they should do it. Maybe send Alzner the other way in terms of cap complications, but the Anaheim Ducks, I think, are actually kind of confident in their group right now, not necessarily meaning that they're a playoff team, but I don't think they want to take a contract on like that. And then a guy like Julius Honka. He committed in Finland. Is he going to sign with an NHL team? Is he going to join an NHL team next year? Who knows? But I just wanted to mention those players as well as the players that the Montreal Canadiens have targeted in the past and maybe are still considering going forward. So thank you for watching. Again, if you could please subscribe, I would really appreciate the support. Drop a like, comment your thoughts. This is John from Hot Take Hockey. Have a good one. Peace out.